Well, our next guest races in the Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series, but Justin Peck, number 49, also suffers from mental illness and addiction. In his inspirational memoir, Bulletproof, Justin talks about his wake-up call and a call to action to change not only his life, but others as well. We're so happy to be chatting with Justin Peck today because he also survived a suicide attempt. So we're glad you're here. Good morning to you, Justin.
Thank you. Good morning to you.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about this experience because I think it's probably a very pivotal point in your life when you drove to the top of the mountain and you attempted suicide. Talk a little bit about what brought you to that dark place.
So I had been going through the depressive side of the disorder for probably 6 months prior to that. I woke up in the morning, normal day, went upstairs, kissed the kids goodbye, went out back, grabbed my dog, threw the dog in the back of the truck, and went for the normal day-to-day activities. Found myself at the top of a canyon that I'd been to quite often in the past, and as I'm watching the dog run around, I'm listening to my music, I'm writing down notes to friends and family, and had no intentions of anything other than just to try to unplug from normal society. But there was a brief moment that the rational thinking that I had turned into a irrational thought. So I reached over, I grabbed the pistol that was sitting next to me, and I loaded it, I put it to the side of my head, and I pulled the trigger. And it didn't go off, thankfully. So I chambered another bullet, and the original one fell on the ground, and I picked it up and I looked at it and I saw where the firing pin had hit, and it was at that moment that I realized that my path had completely changed. I was meant for something bigger than myself, and that's the reason why I'm here. I'm trying to bring awareness to everybody that I possibly can that the mental health, there's no stigma. There shouldn't be a stigma behind this.
I think it's such an important message. Most people aren't bulletproof, you know, so the fact that you're here and you're able to share that is so important. When you talk about the illness, you're specifically talking about bipolar and pill addiction. Talk a little bit about how maybe that started. Do the two go hand in hand for you?
Yes, for me, and from a lot of the reading that I've done about mental health, addiction typically follows or is at least part of it. For me, my head spins so fast constantly all the time, whether I'm on the depressive side or the manic side. And so with the addiction side of things, we self-medicate just to feel normal. And when you start to self-medicate, it typically gets worse and worse and worse. Well, for me, it got worse, and I finally reached a point, it's been 8 years ago, that I was done having the addiction, and so I had an opportunity to do a few things. Ended up in Alaska with no pain pills, and I went through the withdrawal process for 9 days, which was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And when I got back home, I was clean, and I've been clean ever since. So yeah, it's part of the mental illness, but it's also being able to have the willpower and the motivation to be able to stop that and to change the vicious cycle of addiction.
I think your story is going to inspire so many people, the fact of all that you talk about and you're willing to be open about. Who do you hope will read your book?
You know, it's both sides of the spectrum. So it's the people who actually live with the mental illness, whether it be post-traumatic, whether it be schizophrenia, whether it be, you know, whatever. Mental health issues is the stigma that no one wants to talk about. So I want to be able to reach those people, have them be able to read my story and understand the experiences that I have. Maybe, you know, they'll be able to relate. The other side of that is to be able to have the spouses and the loved ones read about it as well, so they have the opportunity to understand what their loved one is going through that has the disorder. It's all about bringing awareness. It's all about removing the stigma and hopefully to have people progress each and every day, be better than you were yesterday. Anything in life worth doing is worth overdoing. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I love it. The universe is not done with you yet. You've got a lot of good work yet to do. We're glad you're here. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Here's Justin's website where you can get a copy of Bulletproof. It's justinpeck.com.